What is up, y'all? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Jasmine Désiree. For those of you who are new here, please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you are feeling the vibes, okay? So, I haven't done a lock video in a minute, and I have a good one for y'all today. I'm going to be telling y'all the truth about starter locks. What I consider to be the truth about starter locks, and 3 things that I think is good to know when you are starting your lock journey, if you're thinking about getting locks and all of that good stuff. So just really quick, I have been locked for officially 2 years now. I started my locks on my birthday back in 2022. I'm just making this video to help y'all out. Hopefully this does help. This is just based off of my experience. So let's just hop right on into it. First things first. When it comes to starter locks, you have to keep in mind that your starter locks are not going to stay that size. Meaning, so when I got my starters, I knew I wanted less than 100, but I knew I didn't want them super thick. I knew I wanted them to be kind of like medium. So this is how my coils looked when I got them. But as you can see, when your locks begin to lock and mature, they're going to get thicker. That thinness and the radius of your starter lock is not how your locks is going to stay. So it may be, it may seem thin to you at first, or you may actually really like it, but you have to keep that in mind when you are thinking about the size of your locks and how many locks you want. Like, look at inspiration pictures, watch videos like these, to just help you out. Your locks is not going to look exactly like somebody else's, but at least you can kind of get an idea. It's very important to communicate to the person who's doing your locks what your goal is when your locks mature. Like, this is how I want my locks to look once they begin to mature. This is the thickness I want them to be. Because you can start off with 10 locks in your hair and think, oh yeah, these are nice. They're nice and thin. They're not too thick. But honey, after about a year, them things is going to be so thick. If you want that look, then cool. But you just have to keep that in mind. So for me, I would say my locks definitely, I feel like they definitely doubled in thickness compared to my starter locks. So again, keep that in mind. Your locks are not going to stay that size when you're deciding how many you want to get. Second thing, when it comes to starter locks, the shrinkage is real. The shrinkage is so real. And you just kind of have to mentally prepare yourself for that before you get locks. You do not have to cut your hair to get locks. I did not do that. My hair was down my back, almost to my behind. And I got locks, and they went all the way up to a little bit above my shoulders because the shrinkage is real. So don't be disappointed. Like, don't think that your locks is going to be the same length as your hair. That's just not how it works. It's going to shrink, it's going to lock, and then eventually once they get more mature and they get the weight, they're going to drop. So you just have to be patient with the growing process of them. And I've gotten a lot of comments saying that they wanted to wait for their hair to grow. Like, oh, I'm going to wait another 6 months to see if my hair can grow another couple of inches before I get locks. Don't wait. If that's what you prefer to do, that's what you prefer to do. But don't wait for your hair to grow before you get locks, because it's going to shrink up anyway. And then the longer you wait to get your locks, the longer your locks could have been getting. Does that make sense? Like, oh, I'm gonna wait a year so I can grow my hair out. But your locks would have been a year grown out by then. So don't wait. Like, the sooner the better. If you want to get locks and you needed a sign to get locks, this is your sign to get your locks. Like, I think for me, this kind of leads into number 3. The third thing when it comes to starter locks is you just have to trust the process. When it comes to trusting the process, I feel like sometimes it's easier said than done, but I really feel like when it comes to locks, it's just a state of mind. It really is. And you have to work on mentally preparing yourself for the things before you start your lock process. So for me, I knew that my hair was going to shrink up. I knew that my locks was not going to be that length, the length of my hair. I knew that. So when I got my starter locks, I was able to embrace it and see the beauty of it instead of spending my energy being disappointed at how short my locks were. No, because I knew my hair was long and I knew my locks would grow. So I was already prepared for that. Another thing with trusting the process is I knew that my locks would get thicker. I knew that my starter locks wouldn't always be that way. And I just had to trust the process and just embrace each step. Like I really embraced my soft lock era. When my locks were soft and they were a little frizzy and they were a little curly, and I'll try to insert a video here, but I really embraced my soft locks. I loved my soft locks because I felt like it was the best of both worlds. I felt like I was still seeing like my curls a little bit and I was seeing my hair lock at the same time. I think the roughest part for a lot of people is starter locks. Not getting them, the day you get them is fine. But after a couple of weeks, when them roots start to frizz up and your hair is starting to grow, that was probably the roughest part for me. I think at that time we were in quarantine, so it wasn't too bad. But I had already prepared myself for that. I was like, you know what? They call it the ugly phase. I never called that energy in. I never called in my starter locks being ugly. That just wasn't, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to say that my locks were beautiful and all the phases of my hair journey, but that's what they called that phase. And I just say it was a little bit rough, but I knew that going into it. I had my head wraps on standby. So I was in the house for the most part, but I think one day my son had a doctor's appointment and I just had to put a hair wrap on. And the way my hair was looking at 3 weeks was looking rough. It was looking like my starters looked like I had an afro with straws hanging off of the afro. I kid you not. And that was right around 3 weeks. At 4 weeks, I got a retwist and that never happened again. Everybody is different. You may go through the afro with the little straws hanging off for a few months. Embrace it. Mentally prepare yourself for that before you go into it. I didn't know how long that was going to last, but after I got that first retwist, I was good. That didn't happen again. Like when my hair started to lock and all of that, my hair started to lock very, very fast. And even my loctician had said that because every day I was hydrating my starter locks. That's the other thing. Like, that's the fourth thing that I'll say. Listen, everybody's hair is different, but if I could give a piece of advice, it would be to hydrate and mist and put water on your hair every day if you want your locks to lock quicker, because that water is encouraging your locks in your hair to tangle up, yet you're not detangling it. You see what I mean? So that's just how our hair works when it gets wet. When you're a loose natural, you wet your hair, you add your conditioner, and you're detangling it. So if you're wetting your hair and you're not combing it out, it tangles, which is what you want it to do for it to create a lock. So I think that's why I only had that rough phase for just the first few weeks, because my hair started to lock very, very fast, because I always was hydrating my hair. Besides mentally preparing yourself for all the phases of your locks, I will say just do your research. Do your due diligence. Know in your mind that your locks may not look exactly like that person, but it's okay to find inspo. That way you know what you're going for. You don't want to just do whatever to your starter locks thinking your starter locks is cute, but then once they start to mature, they're way thicker than you wanted them to be. You didn't want them to be that thick. So I would say if you want your locks to be on the thicker side, look at pictures and get on Pinterest and all of that. People that have less than 100. If you want your locks to look a little bit more thinner, then you probably want to go for 100 to like 140. And then I feel like then you start getting into micro locks and all of that. And I knew I didn't want to deal with that. It just is, oh my gosh, so much work. but do what works for you. Do what you feel called to. When it comes to starter locks, you just have to know that your starters will not stay that size. They're going to get thicker. The shrinkage is real. Trust the process and just do your research and do what feels good to you. So watch videos where people are encouraging you to do what's right for you. Like, don't let anybody tell you there's a right and a wrong way. Like Keith Sweat. No. Do what you want to do and stick with it. Period. Now, make sure that everything is being done and you're being healthy when it comes to your hair. But yeah, if you want thick locks, get thick locks. If you want them thinner, get them thinner. You know, just embrace the process. That's the beauty of a lock journey. Truly embracing it and leaning into it and just seeing the beauty in all the different phases of it. Yeah, y'all, that's all I have to say about starter locks for today. Please comment and let me know if you just started your locks, if you're thinking about getting your locks. This video helped. Just, yeah, comment. Let's talk in the comments and let's talk about locks. Let me know if you want to see any other lock content and give me some video ideas in the comments as well. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all in the next video. Peace, y'all.